one of us will come with a riff, and then usually that sparks, a riff that someone else had or they think of to compliment on the spot.
It's just like any other genre of music, and every genre is an evolution of itself. And it's like the way that metal has evolved since the 80s or since Metallica, early Metallica to like Metallica now, you know what I mean? Or just any other genre, the whole rap genre.
On this episode of In Session at JackRabbit SoundShack, we sit down with heavy metal band Death of a Dream to ask them to talk with us a little bit more about their song, The Man I've Become, unpack depression, and discuss why heavy metal is so unpalatable to so many listeners. I'm David Biggs. And I'm Vance Van Doncelar.
We are Death of a Dream.
And we are now in session at JackRabbit SoundShack.
This is The River by Death of a Dream. Heavy metal in Austin is somewhat of an elusive beast. There's actually a pretty decent scene here in the city, but finding a way to listen outside of the Dirty Dog or Come and Take It Live proves to be a little more difficult. They're not exactly making headlines here in town, regardless of how good they actually are, and I am actually a huge fan of metal. So whenever we get the chance to bring a metal band onto the show, we jump. Death of a Dream took us up on our request to come in, and just like our episode with Lug, we had a great time finding out just who is Death of a Dream.
We all just wanted to just write good music. It was like, we don't give a fuck about subgenres. We're not going to have any rules. Like, I remember when Trey was talking to me, like, him and Byron and Sean were working together, and he was like, yeah, I just want to do a really heavy band. I've never played in a really heavy band. I want to do that. And I hear your vocals. And it was towards the end of my old band. And I was like, nah, I'm done with metal. Like, it's so done. It's over. I want to try and get better as a vocalist and sing more.
Well, it was kind of the end of all of our bands.
Yeah, it was. It was around that time.
Mine had already ended.
And so it was like, no, I want to try something a little bit more mainstream.
Jamming.
Test myself, whatever.
Well, you weren't technically broken up yet.
It was me and Sean.
Yeah.
Well,
But regardless, like, it was just like, show me the tunes,
that's the
and it was
thing,
like, I'm
too.
so down. Yeah, fuck it. I don't give a shit about singing. I want to do this because it was
raw.
Well, the thing with Brent, it was like, I told you, man, I was like, we need to, like, plant some different seeds, you know? And, like, maybe do something else because it was just so stale. Yeah. And then with y'all, Course of Ruin, it was just like...
Oh, it was a complete style change.
Everybody was, like, had their own different ways of going and stuff.
Yeah, it was, well, I mean, it was not... Yeah.
Yeah, we just broke up.
And the story, he was just like...
You guys.
And close hand problems, you just drank a bunch and fuck shit up.
Pretty much.
Well, before the music part of it, I'll let you guys talk to that, but this is hands down the easiest band that I've ever been in. Most bands you're in, it's like there's always someone that's kind of a prima donna, or it's like herding cats, and you're just like, come on, like, But in this band, they're only because we have known each other for such a long time and have been friends before we were in this band, in our own different bands. Like, there's no ego dramas. Like if someone brings a riff and it doesn't really turn into a song that day, no one gets butthurt about it and that kind of thing. And every other band I've been in has had some element of that.
Yes.
I think it's a good point. It's like not necessarily all of these previous bands, but just as far as like doing this for so long, like collectively here in the scene in the city, and like dealing with drama here or drama there from whatever which way it comes from. You know what I mean? We're all it's like we're here to enjoy ourselves and enjoy our friendship and what we're trying to create. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I'm not here to fucking like have more stress and try to,
I think that plays into music too, because we're definitely not trying to catch a scene that's going on. You know what I mean? Like, and God bless them, but there's plenty of kids out there with angular haircuts that are, doing all that shit with the down tune, and that's a thing. You know what I mean? And a lot of people come into it and they're like, okay, we're gonna kind of look like this and do it. I think we're just playing the music that we all dig and we enjoy playing with each other regardless. So, not in that way.
Yeah.
Well, I think just to play off of Story's point, it's just like bands nowadays, we were very much, so it's not, we're trying to separate from that, but our older bands, it was pretty much like, no, we're doing this to get signed, to go on tour, to try and do our best, like make a career out of music.
So this is something, even though you guys say you want to do this to have fun, and you're trying to take it in at least one sense less serious, this is also something that you're very serious about and want to.
Well,
Of course.
yeah,
You gotta
but
be
serious
great.
for different reasons.
Sure.
Yeah, we want to be very good. We want to test our own limits. At the exact same time, though, like, it's very much in the aspect of we're in this to make memories and to make music that'll live well past when we're dead and gone. You know what I mean? And so it's not like in the aspect of serious of we have to get signed, we have to do this, we have to do that.
I mean,
No.
realistically, look at the music business and how it works these days, and it's just like
Night and day from when
Yeah,
we
it's
grew up.
changed.
night and day.
We don't expect to become rich and famous fucking rock stars and shit. You know what I mean? And it's just like we'll
Speak for yourself.
there's always a potential for any musician to make it to that level or whatever. But it's like, you know, we're jamming because it's what we enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Well, to that point, is that something that you would even want?
No.
Okay. So I mean, thinking about it.
Me? No.
You're right. Well, just I mean, even collectively as a band, thinking about it, because once you start to get to a certain echelon, things change.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can't deny that, right?
Mhm.
So is that something that y'all are looking for in one way or another, or are
Is
you
it-
just
if it
enjoying
comes-
it?
Yeah, so to say, it
Right.
depends on the circumstance and the opportunity, right?
Okay.
We're not completely closed-minded to, you know, what we want to do and how we want to do it. We're very open to that aspect. However, we are very well aware of our means and of what we're capable of being able to do realistically.
We're also aware of our age.
Exactly.
So,
you know what I mean?
We're not
It's-
kids anymore. We can't just quit our jobs and
Yeah.
go on the road.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying that,
What
but like,
ages are you?
I'm 37.
37.
So mid to late 30s.
I'll be 39
We'll call it that.
soon.
Yeah, Story, how old you is? How old you is,
Y'all go
Story?
ahead.
42.
45.
Yeah,
In a month.
How old's Byron?
45.
44.
44, yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah, 37's the youngest in the band, you know?
Yeah.
And we all have full-time jobs and we have those responsibilities, you know, being an adult. Which
Kids.
sucks. But
serious girlfriends, families,
yeah,
shit like
so
that, bills
we
to
can't
pay.
just drop everything and leave.
Like if we knew all of the right decisions to make and the right steps to take in the real music business to be able to go and do a tour and build ourselves over time
Yeah, and still be able to support
and still, you know,
Yeah.
like, and not,
ourselves and family and, you know, whatever.
yeah.
Then sure.
Yeah, we're down to give it a shot, but
Yeah, and I think things are different. When
Very
you guys are musicians. I mean, you know the deal. Like from back in the day, I remember one of the first shows we played in Austin. Like the only way to like tell people about that, you know, was like printing off flyers and like, hey, can you throw this away for me? Like,
Get
you
your
know,
street team together.
you know, just doling them out, like, you know, grinding it, trying to put shit up at, you know, anywhere you could hang up a poster.
Yeah,
Totally.
anywhere. And you know, new bands don't know about that.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's totally different. I mean, like you can.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to go out there
You can have
handing out
fans
flyers
from
either.
you can kind of determine where your fans are.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's like if you put something out and for whatever reason, you know, you sold, you know, however many thousand copies in a pick a country, you can decide that it's worth your while to go there or a city or that kind of thing. And I think it's such a better way to be. Even if we all were younger, like that whole thing of throwing yourself in a van with a bunch of sweaty dudes and just playing at, you know, wherever.
VFW
Tuesday night,
hall.
No one's heard of you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, nowadays you can target people, you can figure out where your fans are, you can make it kind of worth your while. You know?
Plus, on top of that, we're no longer the target audience. You know what I mean? We're older. We don't necessarily fall into a specific bucket. And like you were saying before, with how bands play now and how they promote for shows, it's the same way with like back in the day how it was with the record industry. When there was a record industry, they could afford to take chances on bands and see what happens and stuff like that. It's not happening now. They're targeting the younger cats that they know can live in a van for 9 months, play VFW halls and big places in front of 15 people.
and that's the thing,
For a year
we've
and
all
make
done
no
that
money.
for many years.
Yeah.
On our own, you know.
Not to the scale
Not like
of some
it's
bands,
not like
but
we haven't necessarily like paid our dues and whatnot, but
Oh, we paid our fucking
you
dues.
know,
we have.
it's not like
and we're
it's
still
like
paying.
any other musician, you know.
We're still paying them. You know what I mean?
You know,
Like it's just
honestly, I don't care if we play for like 1 or 2 people. You know,
Yeah.
I love to
play.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
We love to play and perform and share that, whether that's 2 people or 2,000. You know.
yeah. They have that saying like you know it's time to hang it up when you play at a bar of 0 people. I don't think we were like that. I think
that.
we have fun.
I've done that.
Yeah, no,
We've
exactly.
all
It's
done
a
that.
live practice. Yeah. So it's
Pretty
like
sure the sound guy wasn't even there. I was like, what the fuck?
yeah, it's just like it's like
Went
no.
outside. I was like,
Everybody
why are
clap
we even
along.
playing?
Bullshit.
Like, can we just leave?
Yeah, like it's just we make music to have fun and to just challenge ourselves.
How are you doing tonight?
You 1% of the crowd.
This is Unbroken by Death of a Dream. listening to alternative music back in the 90s. I loved Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Stone Temple Pilots. That love for raw energy and distorted guitars carried me into artists like Korn, Marilyn Manson, and finally what I considered to be my mecca of metal, Slipknot's self-titled album and Mudvayne's LD50. There was an honesty and poetry to something that I noticed most people avoided, and I never quite understood why that was. We asked Death of a Dream, why is metal so hard for people to get into?
I think everybody has their own taste, man, you know, and everybody has their own closed or open-mindedness to whatever they like or what moves them, you know?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. However, heavy metal in a video game, heavy metal in a commercial, heavy metal in a certain scene in a movie, people are amped, they're pumped about it, even if they don't normally listen to it, right? So they're not necessarily averse to the style of music in and of itself, but maybe it's the setting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But at the same time, that also plays into what you're talking about. But why do you guys think? Because I feel like there's a lot of honesty in a lot of metal music.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is. And I mean, and the number one complaint you hear from people that don't listen to metal is like, it's too loud. They scream.
The vocals. Yeah.
They all they do is scream.
So, you know, it's
It's like,
different.
read some lyrics.
Different
Like,
people have different
like
tastes. you know?
take a moment and look at like what these musicians are doing, like the technical shit that they're doing. All these years they've spent learning these instruments and mastering these instruments, or go listen to your shitty pop music where they haven't done anything.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
Yeah, and
they didn't write their
it's
songs.
a different thing that happens. I mean, like, you know, it's created its own thing, but John Mayer's never played a riff that made someone in the crowd want to throw their body into the other person in the crowd.
He did on Chappelle's show.
yeah. Play the fight riff.
Play the fight riff.
But
You know what I mean?
like,
I think it
it's
goes a
different
lot
for us.
deeper into like how music, you know, affects the human emotion and how, you know, it can put you in a mood or in a feeling. You know, like in a movie, you're watching like Terminator. You know, the '90s Terminator.
Guns
and like
N' Roses.
Guns
you
N'
could be
Roses.
mine.
Yeah, you know,
Oh my
like
god.
that shit got you
love that
pumped the
song.
fuck up, right?
Live.
It's just like, yeah, it would have been completely different with different music,
You
but
know-
you can also get that feeling from like listening to classical music. That's like, you know,
Sure.
You know,
just as powerful.
going off of what you're saying right there about like having that song in like Terminator or whatever, and going along to what you're talking about,
You could be mad.
I think people don't realize that they do need metal music,
Right.
especially for movie scenes like that or video games like you mentioned. You know, something that's gonna get you amped up. They might not like it, you know, regularly, but if it wasn't there, like, what else are you gonna put in there? Like,
Yeah.
people, they need it.
I think it's also has something to do with how it's presented. Right?
Exactly.
Like, if you were to try and get somebody who's not into metal, you wouldn't show them the Dillinger Escape Plan, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, Meshuggah, like the shit that like metal fucking nerds like myself go nuts for.
Right.
That's not going to be my go-to. My go-to, and we were talking about it before, was like bands like Pantera, bands like Deftones, bands like even Metallica. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's goes into part of our writing. You know, we can get as technical as possible, but at the end of the day, we're all fucking groove nerds.
Yeah.
We love groove. Like, the power of the groove is one of the heaviest things on the planet, and you can do that said groove in so many different ways.
power of the riff.
Yeah, power of the riff. You know what I mean? That's what we grew up with, and so it's like and I'm not saying it to talk shit or to down on, because there's some bands nowadays that completely more modern style than us that I love, that I completely dig, especially local wise. But at the end of the day, it's all about the groove. It's all about just getting back, finding that person. Because how many times have we played shows where people are like, I don't even like metal, but I understood outside of the screaming, understood exactly what you guys were doing. It made sense. It felt good. It was a high energy.
Thank you for listening to In Session at JackRabbit SoundShack. We wanted to remind you that if you like what you hear, please subscribe to our show. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss an artist. Okay, now on with the show. When people hear heavy metal, it can be hard for them to get past the guttural screams, blistering guitars, and the barrage of drums. But believe it or not, there is actually a songwriting process for even metal songs. A lot of the time it can be incredibly brilliant, and we're always interested in what goes into a great song for an artist. What do they scrutinize, and how collaborative is the process among the band? We wanted to know how Death of a Dream did it, and we asked, what does your songwriting process entail?
Well, I mean, it just depends on our schedule, right? So, like, when we first started out, we had nothing. So, 4 hours, it was very much songwriting. Once we played our first show, things kind of took off pretty quick for us as far as, like, being able to play more shows, more opportunities. We got to the first year we came out live, we played in Austin every month. And it was sometimes 2 to 3 times a month. And so we played every single month for the whole entire year of, 2015?
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, 15. So a few years back, and it's just like, at that point, it was more about just getting tight. It's like we have once we released the EP and everything, it was like, now we have that. We just want to be really tight at what we're playing. We want to be energetic, but we also want to have people understand what we're saying. So,
And
I mean,
we
it's
wanted to
just
play
mixed.
shows.
Yeah, we want to play shows.
Wanted to gig.
Now that we have the EP's been out for a hot minute, and we played a shit ton of shows, it was like, okay, so we need a new set. So at that point, it's just, we're really good about communicating. Like, we need to work on the set, or no, we're gonna have a show for a while. Let's take some time off. Let's write. Let's come up with some new shit and make it refreshing, not to play the same, 6 songs.
It's a
every
pretty
single
organic
set.
process. One of us will come with a riff, and then usually that sparks, a riff that someone else had or they think of to complement on the spot.
It's just like any other genre of music, and every genre is an evolution of itself. And it's like the way that metal has evolved since the 80s or since Metallica, early Metallica to like Metallica now, you know what I mean? Or just any other genre, the whole rap genre evolves. We've just been evolving since we started doing this. It's just like we're constantly writing here and there and together.
I don't remember.
And it's just like it's just organic and
So you're
flowing.
hanging out outside of your rehearsals.
Well, we
Even
share.
when you're not
Oh yeah.
rehearsing,
We share
you're hanging
riffs
out
back and
you're
forth.
writing music.
I was about to say
Like
that,
Sean
like
or
the technology
Trey,
being the way
they
it
always
is.
send riffs around.
Like, I can record something in my bedroom
Yeah.
and then send it. It won't sound good, but I'll send it to the guys and be like, "You got this idea."
But you get, you get.
Instead of having to rely on being at practice, and when we all meet up, because the way everything is set up now, like I can just email them an idea.
And one thing that's certain is that a riff will come together, a collection of verses come together. We'll give it some kind of ridiculous ass name, like, okay, this is
Man
called
bun.
Dick Volcano or whatever.
Hot beef sandwich.
Hot beef sandwich is actually the working title for the.
And,
the one
until he comes up with an actual name.
And that's exactly how it works.
Yes. What else do we have? Dick Clark.
Dick Clark.
Clark. Jim Dugga.
Oh no, Hacksaw Jim.
Hacksaw Jim Dugga. Yeah. Yeah.
That was also called Dugga Doll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the name.
That's how
of
you'd
the
write
song.
it on the whiteboard.
And that's what we'd write on the board. The song that we played tonight, Man
Little
Bun,
pictures.
that's
Yeah.
not what it's called, but that's what we call it.
Yeah.
That's how I remember how the riff went.
Space where
Yeah, we have a rehearsal
Yeah.
space. Yeah, it's the band co-op off of Dessau near Rumberg. Something like that.
Brown Lane.
Brown Lane.
Brown Lane, yeah.
It's up there by Dessau.
Yeah.
And we've all practiced there for probably the past 15.
Oh yeah, I
years.
started pressing there in like
Easily.
04.
Yeah.
03, 04, I think is when I went up there with Greyhaven.
As far as lyrics go, is there sort of a theme to what happens, or is it just what you're feeling from the music that you hear? Like, 'cause we're a little more interested in that process with songwriting. Are the lyrics first, or the instrumentation first? If so, what bounces off the
Instrumentation first.
instrumentation first?
Yeah.
And so do you? I mean, I'm assuming you read the lyrics.
Yes.
So do you pull off of what you feel from the instrumentation, or
Both.
what you pull out of life? Both, all that
Both,
kind of stuff.
both.
Okay.
Especially with the amount of screaming that I do. I am so sorry I forgot to turn my phone on silent, so I apologize for being that asshole.
Sean,
I will take ownership of that. It better be a booty call too, because I swear to God. No, but so it comes from both. I'm a big fan of the vocalists that are very rhythmic with what the rest of the band is doing. I want the vocal pattern to match with what they're doing, to add something to it, because I consider a vocalist most part, if you don't play guitar on stage, you're the musician's cheerleader. I don't believe in the front man bullshit, but I want to match with what they're doing. And then when they have more melodic parts, I can kind of match in regards to notes, what he's playing on his leads or whatever. Lyrically, it's very much of what I'm going through. I wear my heart on my sleeve. So, like...
For everybody to see.
Yeah, like... But, I mean, it's just very much what I'm feeling at the time. Some of our songs are really fucking dark. Some of our songs are more of a reflection of the society that we live in today. You know what I mean? So it kind of goes between, I'm really good about turning the camera, or, you know, the angle on me just as much as I'm willing to point it out.
The song is The Man I've Become by Death of a Dream.
You realize that, like, I could only do this for so much longer, right?
Part of the reason we here at In Session do this is because we love to follow journeys. Journeys that artists embark upon within themselves and with each other as a band. And if you've ever taken on your own journey, you understand how perilous it can actually be. It's dangerous to be face to face with oneself when we're being honest about who we are. This stood out to us while listening to Death of a Dream record the song The Man I've Become in the studio. We wanted to hear more about that.
That I've been depressed and didn't really recognize it for about 15 years. All the shit that I had before kind of swept under the rug. I drank a lot. Just kind of deal with it. And so recently went through a bit of a life change. Had to completely change diet, stuff like that. And 10 weeks, no booze, no food, nothing. And you realize how the vices that you had before and how alone you kind of are. And that's when everything kind of that I swept under the rug staring me in the face. That's what started the man I've become. Just because living, me and Trey are roommates. He's been helping me out a lot, with being able just to write about stuff. You know, before I was really sick and tired of the metal that was always negative and darker connotation, stuff like that. It was like, it's the same thing, just kind of rehashed, and tried to write more positive lyrics and stuff like that, but then it just got to the point where I couldn't. There's no positivity. So, yeah, that's where the song came from.
You weren't being honest with yourself.
No, it's very easy to kind of not point at yourself, and you can write, completely be reflective on everybody else. I mean, there's so many bands that have done that before, and just you. But I can't write that way. I very much have to be completely honest, because at the end of the day, I'll know it's fake, and it won't come out the way that I want it to, as far as like performance-wise, stuff like that.
So it's not from the heart.
Yeah, it's kind of pointless. Yeah, we're not a theme band, so it's like we're not like Kiss where we could write, you know, certain things and talk about certain things and
Songs about his dick.
Yeah. But I mean, they can get away with that type of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I want more depth. You know what I mean? And that helps me. Helps me with the depression. Like, before, I didn't talk about anything. I was very introverted. Didn't talk about my shit at all. But going through it and being more honest is actually helping me cope as well. You know, and learn about myself.
Right.
So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Have you considered therapy, counseling?
I have a therapist.
Okay.
I've seen psychiatrists, so they've got me on meds that I'm not really stoked on, but at the exact same time, my brothers got me to, you know, help me with the life change, show me different directions, give me different opportunities to, you know, not be so much in my head.
Do you have a therapist and a psychiatrist?
Yes.
Okay, so you've got both.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, good. I've been seeing a counselor myself for about three years.
Really?
Once a week. Yes.
So I'm fresh to this, so I'm still getting used to it. But yeah,
you didn't ask for it, but one bit of advice that I can give you is always be honest with yourself, first and foremost.
Thank you.
It's real easy for us to lie to ourselves and say, I'm not doing that. That's not me. I'm not like this. But it might be.
No, I think part of that also has to do with just not just me, it's everybody in the band. It's very much of, and what I'm learning about, accepting what you can control and not giving a fuck about what you can't.
Right.
And so it's not just me, it's very much everybody here. You know what I mean? Like, shit happens. You know what I mean?
Don't worry about things that you don't have control over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what my fiance is always telling
That's
me.
extraordinarily difficult.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And I could be the poster boy for being the one to freak out and to flip out about shit that I have no control over. But, you know, it makes it a lot easier to focus on the day-to-day because that's all that you can really do. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Like, it's just getting back to the song and, you know, the point of it. I mean, it's like, it'll be refreshing when we finally record it and put it on an EP and actually get it out to the public, because I feel like when we're writing it, we're performing it, it's like very much taking a wound and ripping the Band-Aid off.
And look at it this way, it's like we were saying, the music is done, or not necessarily done, but the music gets composed and then
Sculpted.
the lyrics come in.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing, he's saying, like, in my own personal experiences, I can relate to a lot of things that he ends up coming up with for lyrical content and stuff like that. And, you know, then I'll throw in suggestions about things or whatever, or just ideas. We're becoming more and more collectively, like, creating on newer material, like a lot of the stuff that we did today.
Yeah.
And
you would think after 3 years that we'd already be there, but I mean, we're constantly learning from each other.
It's a never-ending
Yeah,
process.
exactly. And it's like we're only going to get closer and closer, you know, as the years go on.
For sure.
And they allow me to have just as much say so as I allow them to have. You know, it's like I'm not the singer that, hey, write a song, send it to me, I'll come up with something. No, I'm at every practice, whether I'm screaming or not. And they allow me to have just as much input in the music, you know what I mean, as I do with them. He's the first person, like, ever. I don't write lyrics and not show the band because I want the band to be behind what I'm talking about.
Yep.
If it's stupid or if it could be said better or if it's fucking killer, you know what I mean? They're absolutely honest with me. And he's the first one every single time where he'll read it and then and we'll take a break. He'll go over it a couple of times and he'll sit down and was like, tell me about the song. And I was like, what? And he was like, this is what I'm getting from the song, but what are you talking about? And then from there, he'll throw out different lyrical ideas. He'll throw out different ways for me to phrase certain things, stuff like that. And so
it's that chemistry that we're creating this music from, and it's what we're creating that we want to share with, because just like we feed off each other's ideas and lyrical contents or riffs or whatever it may be, there's other people out there that we want to share that with, that may or may not relate to or whatever, take whatever they want from it, you know what I mean? And that's just that's what we're doing, you know.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you real quick. You said that you know there was a lot of metal out there that was about negative things, and you personally have gone down some dark roads or whatever. Are you making a conscious effort to write music that is more positive?
yeah, so it's on both ends of the. Oh God, I thought you said something. I was like, huh?
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Is it more positive or is it more honest?
It's way more honest, positive or not.
But you're in a more positive place now. Than you were.
I am now.
So you're
But
writing
this
more
is
positive
talking.
music now.
Well, we haven't really written. You know what I mean? Like
But you want
the songs we have, we're working on shit now. But a lot of the stuff we've had for
For a while.
6 months, 8 months,
Shit.
something like that.
Unbroken's
Longer than
been
that,
around.
a year.
We played Unbroken at the CD release party.
Yeah.
EP release
Yeah,
party.
you're right. So, like, it's very much on the end. Like, for example, Unbroken. I might as well go through the whole entire thing. Unbroken is a song that I wrote for my mom. And it was very much a song about not giving a fuck who you were. Or not giving a fuck how people thought of you. You know, you hear people tell you that's not the right way, you should do this, or you could totally do this better, or, you know, whatever. Especially in the music industry, you get told no how many times before you're told yes. You know what I mean? So just not giving a fuck anymore and just being very much like, I know who I am, I accept the decisions that I make. So that to me is a positive song, just accepting who you are. But at the exact same time, on the exact opposite, you've got songs like The Man I Become or The River, which is literally about me dreaming about drowning myself in the river to let it take me to someplace better.
And that in itself is like therapy.
Yeah.
We all have our, you know,
Demons.
like our demons, and, you know, it's like getting it out almost, you know, playing music. It's like our own therapy. Therapy for me to play the riffs, to come up with the riffs, or to have an emotion from a certain kind of riff, and to hear that like translated into words or lyrics and kind of, you know, put in a different direction. It's just, I don't know. It's just like
It's a release.
Yeah,
You know,
we
it's
feed
like-
off of each other.
You build up all this angst and anger and all the problems that you deal with, and then we get to go on stage and just let it the fuck go. You know, we'll go up there, stomp around, scream at you for 40 minutes, and when we come off stage, it's smiles and hey, let's take a shot. Hey, let's go to the beer, you know.
This song is called All Hatred Aside by Death of a Dream.
Death of a Dream is Sean Twyman, Byron Gilmore, Sean Young, Trey Ibarbo, and Matt Story.
We at JackRabbit SoundShack want to thank Death of a Dream for reminding us why we need heavy metal and for opening up about a very serious illness, depression.
We encourage any and all who are troubled or suffering to find someone to speak to. Help is available in your area and more affordable than you think.
You can find Death of a Dream's record, Birth of a Nightmare, on your favorite streaming service or at their website, deathofadream.com.
Thank you for listening, and don't miss our last episode of the season featuring singer-songwriter Kelly McRae on March 18th.